Welcome to Gun News in 5 minutes or less, where we will talk about events and happenings in the gun industry, ammunition pricing and so forth, politics related to firearms, personalities, new releases on the market, and anything else I can fit in. This is brought to you by Dr. Drake 63. As expected today, Joe Biden has listed a series of actions he's going to take, some that fall into the executive category, some that fall into the appointment category, and some that fall into the encouraging Congress to move forward with gun safety legislation, gun safety laws, however you want to call it. On his list of executive actions is looking into the restriction or the complete elimination of so-called ghost guns. Now, these are guns, typically an AR type firearm where the receiver is homemade or made from a kit with various milling procedures and things of that nature that don't have a serial number, so they can't be registered in any way in terms of sale or transferred. This doesn't affect pretty much any firearms owner I know, but it's going to affect some firearms owners. And I think what he's really trying to do is get out ahead of 3D printing technology and what people might do. Secondly, as expected, he has asked the ATF to make a specific ruling regarding short-barreled rifles that are in a pistol configuration and henceforth under current definition, not a short-barreled rifle. One of these firearms, an AR-15 pistol, was used in the recent shooting at the grocery store in Colorado, and henceforth has attracted a lot of attention. Now, to my knowledge, this is the first time that any one of these devices in that configuration was used in a mass shooting. It's the easy thing to go after. Kind of reminds me of the bump stock after the Las Vegas shooting. And of course, we know President Trump, through executive action, worked with the ATF to make those an outlawed item. What are we going to see with the pistol? Well, I think what he's asking the ATF to do is basically to make that a regulated item. Now, it's unclear to me, does that mean if you currently have one, are you grandfathered in? Or does that mean that anybody that has them either needs to destroy them or register with a tax stamp as a short-barreled rifle? There's millions of these things out there, and the concern is how is this going to be dealt with from a legal perspective, and what are the rules going to be going forward? Neither of those two actions, in my opinion, is going to save one single life. I don't think the shooter in Colorado would have behaved any differently if he would have had a 16-inch carbine length AR. I don't think it would have mattered one bit. The Biden administration has been under a lot of pressure from the gun control advocates who have supported him to back his campaign promises to do something about gun violence. So I think this is as much a signal to them as it is anything else. I don't believe it's going to save one single life. In addition, he has asked the Department of Justice to make recommendations on red flag laws. Red flag laws basically are meant to prevent someone who's viewed as being a danger to themselves or others from owning firearms, at least temporarily. And the biggest concern any of us should have, what constitutes someone, distinguishing someone as being a danger to themselves or others. Is there a legal process? Is it hearsay? The example that I think concerns a lot of us is, hey, my neighbor doesn't like me, sees me loading my gun cases into my truck to go to the range. Can he say he feels threatened by me? And without any kind of due process, I lose my firearms and have to go through a long and lengthy legal process to prove that I'm not a danger to anybody? So I don't think the concern for most responsible gun owners is that now we're okay if people that are dangerous and potentially harmful to other people own firearms. I think the bigger issue is how are they going to determine that? He also did appoint David Chipman as the permanent director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. I say appointed. He nominated Mr. Chipman to this position. And it's very clear that whatever philosophies that the Biden administration has regarding things such as pistols, ARs, things of that nature, that of course Mr. Chipman is in lockstep with those. Also, he implored Congress to act on legislation that has passed the House already, mostly the universal background checks and the elimination of the so-called gun show loophole. A lot of that has to do with just how this whole filibuster issue in the Senate is going to be handled. And it's, a case where one party really wants to push through a number of their agenda items. Will they change the rules in order to do that? This would just be one of those items. So, according to President Biden in his speech today, no amendment to the Constitution is absolute. And I guess if our Constitution and the words that are in it, or the amendments to the Constitution, which are considered to be part of the Constitution, the Second Amendment is part of what's called the Bill of Rights. If that's not absolute, I don't know what it is. But of course, we've seen free speech and freedom of the press and freedoms of people expressing their ideas come under attack and censorship quite heavily over the last few years. So I guess to his point, you're right, nothing's absolute if you don't enforce it. Does that mean the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments regarding freedom of slaves and the right to vote and things of that nature, does that mean those aren't absolute? So fine line to walk there. But anyway, this was the gist of the big gun control announcement and executive action from the president today. I could get into a lot of opinions here. I'll let you guys do that in the comments section, but I wanted to bring you this information as quickly as I can. This is Dr. Drake. I appreciate you watching the channel. And this has been Gun News in a little longer than 5 minutes today. Please click and subscribe for updates.